the project. Okay, so now we move to the second step, how to select the project. See, there are so many tools which can be used extensively and in depth to select the project. But at this level of the certificate, at this level of the Lean Six Sigma program, we'll be able to just see a glance of one single tool called Pareto. Okay, now let me give a glance about this Pareto. So this Pareto is such a wonderful tool because we have selected a lot of problems. We have identified a lot of problems through VOC or VOB or COPQ. Okay, just a moment, please hold on. Dr. Sai, ஒரு 5 நிமிஷம் காமனட்ல வந்துருவேன். 4:50 தானே வர சொன்னீங்க. 4:50க்கு இந்த கிளம்பி வந்துட்டு இருக்கேன். So we have identified projects through this VOC, voice of customer, and VOB on COPQ. Now I have to select projects. For that, I can use project prioritization matrix, Pareto. I have so many different tools I can use. So one of the simplest and wonderful tools is Pareto. So what is this Pareto? Actually, it was developed by a man called Wilfred Pareto. Okay, in the 1890s, but it came into existence and usage by Philip Crosby in 1986. See, actually, this Pareto chart will help you to identify the problem which is causing a lot of pain. See, for example, here we have an example. See, in the Pareto chart, you will be having 3 axis data. You will be having x-axis, which will be having only the defects. You will be having abstract details, just abstract details, defects. And in the y-axis, left-hand side y-axis, we will be having the number of defects. Okay, so this Pareto chart will help you to identify the defect which is causing you more loss, which is creating you more pain for the customers, which is increasing the cycle time like that. So through this Pareto chart, you'll be able to find out the maximum issues. Okay, top 3 issues which is causing you 80%, 90% losses for the organization. So now look at this Pareto chart. In the Pareto chart, you are able to see on the x-axis, you will be having the type of defects. It will be having only abstract data like type of defects, type of problems. And in the left-hand side y-axis, you can follow the cursor. In the left-hand side y-axis, you can see the number of defects count. Okay. Then on the right-hand side, you can see the percentage of defects. So here on the bottom, we have a problem. Okay, which we have received from a garment company. So the garment company is manufacturing a lot of shirts. In that, they are having defective buttons. The defective button defects comes to around 270 numbers. Here you can see 270 numbers. Likewise, all the defects are drawn in the form of bars. Okay, then we have a blue line. Okay, the blue line gives the accumulated percentage of defect. So what is the percentage of defect of the defective button? It comes nearly 44%. Okay, so 44%. You can see here 44%. What is the defect? What is the defect of the stitching? It is 22%. Okay, so we add the 44 and 22, it comes 66%. So this blue line gives you the cumulative in the sense we add the previous defect with the current one and we mark it as a point. So here is a 44%, the defective button. Here we add the 40 defective button percentage with the stitching defects and we get 66%. We mark it here and we add the defective button with the loose thread and we got 80.5%. We mark it here. So likewise, we mark the cumulative percentage of defects. So in the x-axis, the defects, y-axis, left-hand side, number of defects, and the right-hand side use the percentage of defects. So here 40%, here 22%, okay, here 13%. Then this blue line gives the accumulated percentage of defects. So you can see the first three defects itself causes 80% of total defects. So if you eliminate the first, if you focus on the first three defects, we are able to eliminate the total percentage of defects. 80% of defects is eliminated. My performance, my efficiency increases by 80% just like that. If I focus on all the three, this three, I doesn't need to focus on all the 10. So I have 10, 15 problems. One from inventory, two from workshop, three from purchase department, HR, okay, cycle time, scrap, wastage. So if I use the Pareto chart to plot all of them, I will be getting a clear-cut idea which problem has more impact on my efficiency, which problem is having a which problem is eating my profit, which one is affecting my customer satisfaction, which one is painful to my internal customer. I will be able to identify. So my efforts can be focused on the first two or three, so that I will be able to solve 80% of the problem. So project selection can be done using this Pareto chart in a simple manner. Okay. So I believe you are able to understand that if you focus on the first three problems, you are able to improve the efficiency of the process by 80%. So that is much more beneficial. So instead of focusing on all the 10, 15 problems, if I focus on the first three, I will be able to increase the percentage by efficiency by 80. So from that, I will be able to select the first important project through other methods also. So this is the Pareto chart is a wonderful tool for project selection. Okay. This is what I explained about. Okay. So this Pareto chart helps you to identify the critical problems, okay, and select it and prioritize the important problems and helps your team to focus on that particular problem. So it helps you to identify the critical problems which you have to focus, critical project which you have to focus. It helps you to prioritize it. So out of the 10 problems, I will be able to find out which problem I have to focus, which project I have to choose. So this role of this Pareto in Six Sigma project is very important. It helps you to identify, it helps your team to focus on the correct project so that the efforts doesn't go in vain. Okay, so now we have cleared first two steps, that is identifying the project review, CVOB and COPQ, then selecting the project using Pareto, and there is one more tool called project prioritization. Okay, that will also help you to identify, select the project. Okay, now we move to the important phase of the Lean Six Sigma define phase, that is developing a project charter. What is the project charter? Right. See, this project charter is a living document. The project charter has certain important steps. See, first, we have 6 main elements. First one is the business case. What is a business case? See, the business case helps you to, just a moment. See, the business case helps you to describe, helps you to understand why doing this project is important for your company. What significance can this project do to the company? And why the organization, why your company, why your top management needs to support this project. So the first and foremost element of the project charter, it is a document. I will show you an example of the project charter. Okay, first we have a business case. The business case will explain why we have to do this project, what is the significance of this project to the company. Okay, so for example, if I am reducing the cycle time, I am doing a project to reduce the cycle time. For example, I am doing a project to reduce the downtime of a machine. You have to write why reducing the downtime is important to the company and why the company should support this project. You have to write this. There is an example for that. Okay, they have experienced 23% increasing in the operation cost. So to reduce the operation cost, we are doing this project. So if you are able to reduce the operation cost with the target of 0.05%, then it will reduce the COPQ. Okay, so you have to, in the business case, in the project charter, the first important element is business case. Regarding the business case, you have to provide this information. Then the problem statement. First one is business case, second one is problem statement. The problem statement, it gives you a brief description about the pain the organization is experiencing or your customer is experiencing, either through VOC or VOB. Okay, so this problem statement, it is going to provide a information, detailed information about the loss the organization is facing. Okay, it can be attained through VOC, either through internal customers or external customers. Dr. Sivakumar explained about the internal customer and external customers clearly. So in the business case, you should describe the need of the project. In the problem statement, you should explain the pain, loss of the organization because of this particular VOC or VOB. Then you need a goal statement. See, the goal which you are choosing must be specific, must be measurable, and it must be achievable and more relevant to the organization, and it must be time bound. You cannot do a project for 3 years, 4 years. You have to complete a project within 2 months, 3 months, like that. So the goal statement always must have a more specific, attainable, measurable, relevant, time oriented data. Okay. See, for example, you can say we can increase the employee motivation, okay, from the current 42% to 70%. So you can see 42% and 70%. It is a measurable, and at the same time, it must be achievable. You cannot say from 42% to 100%. That is highly not achievable immediately. So you have to fix the goal in a measurable data in an achievable manner. 42 to 70% by, and there must be a time in the goal by third quarter of this particular year. So it must be specific, it must have quantifying data, and the most important thing is you have to fix an achievable goal, and it must be more relevant to the organization. I cannot fix a goal which is irrelevant to the organization at that particular point of time, and it must have specific time. So first you have the business case, problem statement, then the goal statement, then the scope of the particular project charter. Scope. See, scope is very important. See, for example, whether the project has to be carried out within the organization, okay, or we can hire external people, external experts, whether the project is limited to a particular department, and what is your scope within the department. All these things has to be explained, briefed clearly. Okay, then only you will be able to execute the project without any conflicts within the organization. Okay, for example, just a moment.
Ravi, you are muted.
The scope of the project gives you a clear physical boundary within which you have to work. Okay, that is a very must. So start with problem state, business case, problem statement, goal statement, then scope of the problem. Then the timeline. So the timeline is very important. So we should know the start date, the tentative end date, and when the defined phase has to be completed. What are the measure, analyze, improve? All the phases, start date and end date, must be specified clearly in the timeline. Then only our team will be able to work accordingly. Then only the efforts will be focused accordingly. Then we have to select proper team members also. Okay, that one relevant team members who are having proper experience, who are subject matter experts, and who are facing the pain, and people who are key stakeholders, all must be a member of the team. That will help us to propel the project in the particular direction. So this is a model of the project charter. Okay, you can see the business case, the scope statement, the problem statement, the goal, then the project scope, that is the resources which you can use, and the timeline. So here you can see the business case, the project scope statement, then the problem statement, then the goals, then the project resources, then the timeline. This is a small example of a typical project charter. This will help you to understand the project in a single view. The top manager will be able to understand it by looking at the project charter. So finally, we will look into the SIPOC as a small high-level process map. Important but small content, a high-level process map. So in the SIPOC, it is a visual diagram of a high-level process map. High level in the sense macro-level process map. So for example, if you look at the India, initially we will look into the states. How many states? 28 states, 6 union territories. We will look at that. So that Indian map will give a macro visualization. Likewise, the SciPark will give you a macro level visualization of the process that is happening inside the organization, like the process, inputs, suppliers, customers. Okay, so what are the elements of a SciPark? The SciPark will have a supplier, it will have an input, it will have a process, it will have an output, it will customer. So SciPark stands for supplier, input, process, output, and customer. So let us see, these 5 things are the elements of the SciPark. Okay, supplier is the one who provides the input to the organization, to the process. The input is what it goes into the process. So into the machine, you are giving a raw material. Okay, that is the input. The process is what is happening in the machine, conversion of raw material to finished good. That is the process. Then what is the output? The outcome of the process. So after the machine has done the machining, you are getting a finished product. That is the output. Who is the customer? The one who receives the output, the one who receives the product, or the end user is called the output. So let us take a small process diagram. Okay, see, for example, taking a photocopy of a particular certificate, you put the original on the Xerox copier machine, you close the lid. Okay, you adjust the settings to A4, A3 like that, then you press the start, then you remove the originals and take the copies. So this is a process which will happen in a photocopier machine, in a Xerox machine. Let us see how to do it. So in a process map, we will have, first we have to start with the process. Okay, in a process map, first we have to start with the process. This is a process which we have for making a Xerox. Okay, so we have to start with the process. What is step 1, what is step 2, what is step 3, and what is step 4? So we have to start with the process in the high level process map. You cannot start with supplier, you cannot start with input or output. So we have to identify all the steps involved in the process. Okay, then you have to identify the list of outputs. What are the outputs that will come out of the process? What is the output that is coming out of the process? The raw material and the finished product. What are the finished products? It may be a service, or it may be a product, or it may be a report, or it may be a data, or it may be a semi-finished product, or it may be a raw data. So first we have to start with the process, then we have to find out the outputs, then we have to identify the customers who are receiving it. See, why we have to do it? Because then only we'll be able to understand the process. Then only we'll be able to understand what is happening in the organization. So input, output, process, customer, supplier. These are the 5 things which you have to identify. So next, the step 3, you have to identify the customer. Who is receiving my output? Whether it's an internal customer, whether it's an external customer, or he is a vendor, or he is an end user, or it is a top management, or it is a next process. So I have to identify the customer who is receiving my output. Then step 4, I have to identify the inputs to the process. So I am giving some input to the process. It may be a raw material, it may be a data, it may be some semi-finished parts, or it may be a output of another process. I have to identify those inputs. That is step 4. In step 5, I have to identify the suppliers. Okay, suppliers may be internal, external, or vendor, or management, whatever it is. So in SciPark, we try to identify the process that is happening inside the organization. First, we identify the process, then we identify the output, then we identify the customer who is receiving the output, then we identify the input, and finally the supplier. So by identifying this, you are able to understand what is happening in the organization. After that only, you'll be able to move towards the right project, and you'll be able to identify which project should be given importance. That is the meaning behind this SciPark. So this is the example of this photocopy making process. So making a photocopier is the process which you are focusing on. Your output may be either A4, A5, or A3. Okay, and the output customer may be, you may be taking a copy, or the copy may go to notice board, or it may be filed. Then what is the input to the process? Okay, you are having a copier machine, that is the input. The toner must be there. Then the original must be kept inside the Xerox machine, then we'll be able to take it. Definitely you need electricity to operate the machine. And who is the supplier? The Xerox copier machine supplier is a manufacturer. Then you need paper, toner, then original should be provided by you. The electricity should be provided by electricity board. See, this is a high level process map. This helps. So looking at this visual diagram, you are able to understand we have a process. The output of the process is this one. The customers are the one who are receiving the output, and the input to the process is all these things. And The suppliers are these people. So this project charter and project and SciPark help you to, the project charter helps you to understand the project which you are going to execute, and the SciPark helps you to understand the process in a macro level, so that you'll be able to execute the project in the correct direction. So the SciPark helps you a team to verify the inputs, okay, whether it matches with the output, okay, and you are able to understand the process boundaries and scope. So this is how SciPark is useful too. Thank you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Myself and Dr. Sivakumar will be happy to answer.